Today's show is brought to you by State Farm agent Brian McDevitt. Here's the deal. When you combine State Farm home and auto insurance, you save an average of $889. State Farm agent Brian McDevitt is ready to help you combine home and auto and save in Chicago and the surrounding suburbs. Call Brian today at 630-796-2662. That's 630-796-2662. Or visit his website, bryanismyagent.com. That's bryanismyagent.com. And make sure to mention Sports Talk Chicago. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I want to start today with this. I have never seen a franchise whose fan base was more enraged because the team was in first place. They're winning despite injuries, despite growing pains, despite some bad managerial decisions, and yet for some reason, no one's happy. Why is that? Why is no one celebrating success? See, this is different than the whole Bears-Justin Fields thing. We don't know what's going to happen there. We are seeing results for the Chicago White Sox, and yet all I hear is complaining. They're 16-12, first place in the Central, 80% chance to make the postseason, 7% chance to win the World Series. And yet, it's not good enough. Why isn't this guy playing? Why did he come in? Oh, they're injured, so it's on the manager. Let's take a step back. The White Sox are successful. You can't argue that. You can't argue the fact that they do lead the division. I understand that Tony La Russa has made some questionable decisions. Yes. Should Jake Lamb be seeing the field? No. Billy Hamilton? No. Billy Hamilton's a pinch runner, not a starting outfielder. Yes, that's correct. Should Andrew Vaughn be playing more? Of course. He's a rookie. He needs at-bats. He needs reps. He's only going to get better with reps. That said, the Sox are winning. You could complain back and forth about who should be starting, why this lineup is being trotted out onto the field. The fact remains that lineup is winning baseball games. It's not Tony La Russa's fault Yasmani Grandal is hitting $123. Or Jose Abreu, the MVP, is hitting .214. It's not Tony La Russa's fault that the right field position hasn't been worked out. Who signed Adam Eaton? Who said it'd be a platoon? That's not a La Russa problem. That's a higher-up problem. Should have been more money invested in right field, plain and simple. So you could pin all of your problems on a Hall of Fame manager who's been around the block a few times, won a couple of World Series. Or you could realize that, hey, it's not that bad. Let me ask you this. Who would you rather be right now? Would you rather be the White Sox, lead the division, 4 games above 500, lots of potential, lots of growth still to come, or would you rather be the Cubs, 14-16, moral victories for beating the Dodgers on a doubleheader, and virtually no chance of even making the playoffs, let alone winning the World Series? Who'd you rather be? Pretty simple question, and the answer's simple too. I don't get all this White Sox hatred. I don't get the Tony La Russa slander. I know he's made tough decisions. I know not every one has turned out correctly. Don't get me wrong. But they're winning. They're in first place. I mean, what more do you want right now? It's early May. This team is still growing. Long way to go. They're playing good baseball. Why is that a problem to people? I know it's a Tony La Russa bias. It's just a fact. Because I remember coming out supporting La Russa for the hiring, and I got eviscerated. And it turns out he's winning, and everybody's still finding one small thing to complain about. He's out of touch. He's 76 years old. They lead the division. I'm not saying he's a perfect manager, but they lead the damn division. How is it fair to go after this guy day in and day out when they're winning? It'd be much different if they were 10 and 16, last place. I'd probably fire him. I would. Because this team, player-wise, is good. This is their time to shine. You can't be wasting time with a random manager. If he's not winning, get him out. You have a small window to compete, but you are winning. You do lead the division. And it's the same thing every day. I do credit Jose Abreu, and I love this headline, by the way. White Sox MVP, Jose Abreu. Tony La Russa treated unfairly at times. Yes, he is. From fans, from media, from everybody. Everybody paints him out to be some 76-year-old who knows nothing, who's out of touch with today's game. Why? He's winning. That's unfair. Quote, I think we are blessed to be managed by a guy like him, a Hall of Famer, said Abreu. I think sometimes people are unfair with him. People like to criticize. It's not an easy job. If being a manager of a major league team would be an easy job, everybody could do it, but it's not. And I think he deserves a little more credit and respect. We support him. Sometimes you make decisions that probably don't go your way, but that's how it is. I support him. And I think we have to be glad to be on a team managed by him. Thank you. You're winning. There is no need to complain. And it's not Tony La Russa's fault that some of your best players aren't performing. It's also not his fault there are injuries. You can't control that. Can't control Jimenez and Robert going down for extended periods of time. You can't control Lucas Giolito having a 5 ERA. Fortunately, Cease, Rodon, and Lynn have picked up the slack, but it's ironic the top two starters in this rotation have not performed yet. Liam Hendricks, still at a 4 ERA. Can you imagine what happens when the guys who are supposed to perform, perform, and the guys who aren't supposed to perform, still perform? You're talking about a 95-win team, at least, maybe 100. If your mean Mercedes continues to rank, Moncada is recovering, Anderson, Vaughn, and then Abreu catches fire, Grandal catches fire, this team's going to be unstoppable come September, October. Remember, it's a marathon, 162 games, it's May. Look, Sox fans, I get it. You've been through the ringer when it comes to the rebuild and money being spent and this move for La Russa, which you didn't like, fine. But you have to admit, you can't be unhappy with leading your own division. No. I don't get it. This early in the season, you're dominating to the extent that you lead your own division, and there's a problem. They don't have to be World Series ready today. This is your time of experimentation if you're a manager. You need 40, 50 games to understand what you have, who performs, who doesn't, who works where. That's what this time is for. And to Tony La Russa's credit, they're still winning. Despite the experimentation and wondering who's going to play where and balancing injuries. So why all the criticism? Look, I agree. Jake Blam shouldn't be playing. Billy Hamilton, no. There have been some questionable decisions with the bullpen with starters, yes. But you can't argue at the end of the day with the record. You can't. You could sit there and talk all you want. You could complain about every little thing that he does wrong or this team. But you can't argue with the record. You can't argue with their positioning in the standings. That's just a fact. And I remember all of you who eviscerated me for saying Tony La Russa would be a great manager. I remember when the White Sox win the World Series this year, I'm going to see what people have to say. He's a Hall of Fame manager. He knows what he's doing. You could question him all you want. But I say give them a bit of faith. It's like the Cubs in 2016. I love Joe Maddon. Great manager. Did make some mistakes in the World Series managing. They still won because the talent overcame the mistakes. And to this day, everyone knows Joe Maddon to be a great manager, and he is. La Russa, same thing. Has he made mistakes? Yes. Will he continue to do it? Maybe, sure. But good talent will overcome some snafus. That's a fact. And at the end of the day, if the Sox win the World Series, you can't criticize them anymore. You really can't. They're contending as it is, this early. It shouldn't be happening. Realistically, it shouldn't. They shouldn't be in this position until maybe June or July. It's May, and they lead the division. This should be cause for optimism, celebration, potential, not degradement. Constant degradement. I see it every day. They're winning, despite injuries. Despite some star players not performing yet, too. Wait till Abreu heats up, and Grandal. Then you've got yourself a really potent lineup. Wait till Giolito and Keuchel make a comeback. Can you imagine? Think about this. The White Sox's top two starters today aren't performing. A perennial Cy Young Award candidate in Lucas Giolito and Dallas Keuchel. Yet the bottom three are. Imagine if all five work together. Imagine when that day comes. On paper, and even moving forward, this team is a top 2-3 team in the AL. Just a fact. And if everybody executes correctly, you're talking about an easy World Series contender. Easy. It's just a matter of building yourself up to that point. And they have time to do it. It's May. This is your time. This is still the month of experimentation, of learning, of catering to every player's needs. It's not going to happen overnight. And the fact that they're actually winning, that they're actually leading the division this early, it's unbelievable. I'm not saying don't criticize La Russa. Everyone's deserving of it. He could be a Hall of Fame manager. If he makes a mistake, you got to tell him. But the flip side is, will we praise him if he wins? See, they're winning right now, and I see no praise. I just see constant criticism. I don't get that. I'm all for criticism, if it's warranted, yes. But I'm also for praise if something correct is done. That's a fact. So, are we going to criticize La Russa when they win the World Series? See, I have a feeling people will. Sox winning Game 7. Oh, La Russa did something wrong in Game 6. They barely won because of it. That's how I feel this whole thing's going to play out. And if that's the case, you're entitled to your opinion, but I don't support that. Not when you win a World Series. Cubs fans today don't look back in 2016 and say, oh, man, I made a mistake here, here, and here. No. They acknowledge a mistake was made, but they also know they won the World Series. And no one holds any grudges towards Joe Maddon for a snafu. Got to make sure it's the same for Russa. He's experienced. He's a winner, a proven winner, Hall of Famer. And although he's made mistakes, it's not his fault there are injuries. It's not his fault right field has no real player. And it's not his fault that some of his top stars still aren't performing. It's not his fault Jose Abreu can't hit yet, or Grandal. Giolito and Keuchel aren't performing. Not yet. It's not his fault. So Sox fans, as I said 2 weeks ago when they were 8-9, don't worry. I know you want to see success. I know you've been waiting so long for this team to bloom and to prosper and to be great. It's May. It's May. There is time for this team to grow and develop. And the fact that they're even in first place right now, that they're 16-12 through 28 games, that should be cause for a celebration. I said it earlier. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be the White Sox right now or the Cubs? Do you want to be 16-12, leading your division and having everything look up? Or do you want to be a 14-16 team that's celebrating over some doubleheader sweep when we all know at the end of the day they're not going anywhere? Are the Cubs going to win the World Series this year? Yes or no? No. Sox could. 7% chance. Don't fret. Don't worry. And don't overly criticize when in reality, everything's fine. It's all right to question decisions. It's all right to wonder how things will work out. But if your team is performing, if they're putting up real results, no reason to criticize. There is reason if you're losing. There is reason if no games have been played yet and you're skeptical. But there's no reason when there are wins, when there are results, turn around and say this whole thing's a sham. So my hope is that White Sox fans acquire more hope themselves. It's going to be a long season. And if you're going to sit here all year and just find some small thing to nitpick at, it's going to be a long season for you. The Sox are winning. They're contending. They lead the division. It's time we recognize that and not sit here and continue to degrade Russa and degrade this team. More to come here on Sports Talk Chicago. My interview with Greg Gumbel comes up next, so stay tuned. Hey, do you want to make some money this weekend? What if I told you I could offer you $250 free to bet on any game you want? Here's what you have to do. Go to sportstalkchicago.com/cash. sportstalkchicago.com/cash. Must be 21 plus, must be an Illinois resident. You get about $250 free on any game you want for this upcoming weekend. Cubs and White Sox are back. The Bulls are tanking. Maybe a good time to bet those unders for them. Blackhawks are still playing, and yes, you can bet prop bets on the Bears and Justin Fields. This is, without question, a great time to put down some money and win a whole lot more back. At sportstalkchicago.com/cash. sportstalkchicago.com/cash. You have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.